Hey everybody, it's Misty Doan, and I am joined by Rob Appell of Man Sewing for
What's up?
Hey, yeah, welcome for this week's Missouri Star Live, and we are on the Man Sewing set, switching it up a little bit,
making it awesome. Right?
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Absolutely. Rob's in town. He came in for our Missouri Star Academy last week. It was so fun to have so many great presenters here, and now we get to film some tutorials with him. So we're going live.
Yeah, it's been a great time so far.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a bunch of stuff already wrapped up. We had to pull all the hidden secret stuff down from the set so you wouldn't get any too many sneak peeks and stuff.
Not to reveal anything too crazy.
Because I'm a bit of a leaker, maybe. I always want everyone to know what it was coming down the road, but sometimes it's a little bit advanced.
That's okay. Everybody likes a little sneak peek.
That's right. Exactly.
No problem. All right, let's see who we've got watching today.
Oh, tons of folks jumped on already, huh?
Yeah,
wow,
absolutely. Cool. Lene, I hope I said your name right. Hello. She gave us some love. We appreciate that.
We got to say hi to Karen because I was just over there at the Quilt Guilds up in Reading and Red Bluff, right? I can see that one. Very cool.
Gina from Wisconsin, thank you so much.
This is great.
This is so fun. We really appreciate you guys tuning in and joining in the fun with us every week.
We got a Colorado and a Norway, too.
Oh, Norway.
Wow.
That's awesome.
What time is it in Norway?
I don't know. Maybe she or he will tell us.
That's right.
So
All right.
that will be awesome. Okay, so today
Kristen's the person.
Kristen will tell us in Norway. Yeah, let us know what time it is there. That's so awesome. Thanks for watching with us. So today we're going to be making these awesome custom tablet or laptop covers. They're padded to help keep your gear safe. And Rob's whipped up a way to make it so you can make these for any size that you have. So I'll let you tell us how to get started.
Perfect. Okay. And one of the things I'm using inside of these is the wonderful Bosal foam.
Oh, yes.
So this is about, I know what, 1/8 inch thick or so, and it's a nice dense foam, but I'm also going to point out, because I love my technology so much, that I still actually have a small little cover on my tablet.
So when you did your measurement, you just measured with the cover on.
Exactly. Whatever you feel is safest for your mobile device, measure that, and then add 1.5 inches in both directions. So 1.5 inches in the width and 1.5 inches in the length. And that will make it so that you don't have the tragedy that I did.
With your cute pictures, too.
I got so excited. This was a printed piece of fabric with obviously the pictures of the kids on it. And I was so jazzed about it. And I forgot to just add a strip. It would have been a very easy thing. And so this one, actually, I made the width awesome because I happen to know 8.5, but the zipper doesn't close very well.
It's still so cute.
So. Right. And then that's where I got the idea to make our own pieces of fabric. So at any rate.
Oh, yeah. and just there is a link in the description and the post for this Bosal foam that we're using. It's the single side fusible Bosal foam. There is a double sided that's offered, but we're just using the single.
Right.
Yeah.
And we like the single for this because I'm going to iron to the bumpy side eventually, but on the interior of the bag, I have just the Bosal itself.
Right, and it's almost like felt. It's got like a nice soft, so it won't scratch up your devices.
Yeah, I really liked it that way.
Yeah.
So basically figure your device, your mobile device, whatever it's going to be, and whether you have a cover on it or not, you're just going to add 1.5 inches both in length and width to prepare. So the pieces we're using today are 8.5 by 11, and this is a standard 10-inch tablet.
Awesome.
So I'm just going to set that.
Do you think for a laptop you would need a little bit more?
More width?
Yeah, or I don't know, because it's just a little taller. I'm just thinking.
I think that's a great idea because I apologize. I shouldn't apologize. I've got one of those wonderful, really thin laptops, so I wasn't thinking that it's much thicker than that, but that's a great idea, Misty.
So mine is thin as well. So,
right, but if you have a standard laptop that's thicker, maybe we should add 2.5 inches.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, you could always sew down, take an extra little bit off of one of the side seams or the bottom seam if it finished too large.
Right.
If it finished too small, you'll have the disappointment that I had.
So always measure a little
You're
bigger.
A rock star.
You know, just a thought.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense with the thicker stuff. And again, because it's home sewn fabric, I just am kind of using it on my smaller, lighter weight stuff.
Perfect.
But that's just me.
That works.
We also heard back.
Oh, what time is it in Norway?
It is 6 p.m.
Well, it was 6 p.m. before I went into the long conversation.
Same as Netherlands.
Oh, wonderful. Fantastic.
Wow.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we're running about 7 hours, it looks like then.
That's awesome. Okay.
Okay. So I don't know if I said or not, but this particular fabric they're looking at is now 8.5 by 12 inches.
Okay.
Versus the 11 inches I had on my photo transfer. So we're moving away from that horse there. And then, so my Bosal foam pieces are already cut at 8.5 by 12.
Okay.
I need 2 of them. And then I need one of these as my standard side. That's going to look like that. And these are just these wonderful Robert Kaufman batiks I was playing
So
with here.
fun. I really love these hexies or whatever they are. They're
Kinda
so cute.
Super geometric, right?
Yeah, love it.
All right, we got our first project question.
Oh.
Okay, we love
And
questions.
it is, the phone would make a great eyeglass case. Where can I get the phone?
Oh, you can get the phone. We have a link to it in the description on YouTube or in the post on Facebook. It takes you right to Missouri Star Quilt Company. It's the single-sided Bosel Foam Interform Plus, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, and then also it comes in white, and they also do a double-sided. So if you're trying to put a really cool liner inside of an eyeglass case,
right.
Anytime you're going to use additional fabric, I like the fuse on that side so I can bond it later on. And I'm going to show you that here in a second too, which means I should be heating the iron up while I'm goofing off.
There we go.
Too.
Good reminder.
That's right. Yeah, we're a great team out here, all of us live folks and fans. And thank you again for writing in your comments. We do have eyes all over these trying to help keep up.
Perfect.
Okay, let me walk you through building the pretty side, the side with the stripe on it.
Okay.
And so we're going to start by constructing a fabric. So I had made 2 of these at 8.5 inches by 12.
Okay.
And then we're going to take, and while it's on the table, I'm going to subcut off a strip that is 2 inches and then another strip that was 1 inch.
Okay.
Okay. So this is basically what happened
To your regular piece.
to that piece there.
Got it.
Got it. So I'm going to pretend like this has gone away.
Okay.
Okay. And then what we want to do is we want to add in our wide stripe here.
Okay.
And then we're going to go skinny, and then we're going to go our super narrow, and this is a 1.5, and this is 3/4. So basically they're half measurements from each other just to kind of have a fun kind of like 70s surf stripe is what I've always liked.
I like it.
And because you're on that side of the table, I'm going to ask you if you
You're
don't mind
gonna
sewing.
have me sew.
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm happy to.
Okay, we've got a 1/4 inch, and also I've got polyester thread in the top and the bobbin for you today.
Okay.
Because I'm making gear, so I want polyester because it's
A little stronger.
Yep.
Okay. And did you backstitch or anything?
Yes, it's always a great habit, I think, because
Okay.
we're going to probably trim the bottom off a little bit, and the top is going to probably need to be squared for putting in the zipper, but
Okay.
backstitching is a good idea.
All right.
Got it.
I'm using this edge guide for the first time ever. That's pretty
What do you
fun.
think?
I like it.
Yeah. It really helps me stay accurate, and when I'm doing like the 1/4 inch piece we're going to put in, then that accuracy kind of counts. Oh, it's a little bit of a faster machine.
Got a little quick there.
That's all right. I guarantee it's straight as any seam I've ever built. Perfect.
There we go. There's the first one.
Right?
We'll just cut there.
Brad, let me press that for you.
Perfect.
Okay. And I like to, whenever I'm constructing, I really press after each seam. And so you were just sewing on this. The blue piece was your add-on piece, so you were looking at it. So I'm going to press it down, and we're just going to build straight across. So we're sewing all from one direction. And if you take the time to work slowly and accurately, you don't have to sew in both directions to make sure we don't get a puckering. Plus, we're just doing a pretty short seam.
Yeah.
So it's really not going to show up.
Just don't tug or anything, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So here's your next one.
Perfect.
That's what they're saying. You got to be careful with Rob's sewing machine. It's got that caffeinated.
I know
milk.
that.
Yes, that caffeinated milk. Yeah.
It's
Oh, we have true
true.
man sewing fans watching today.
That's
is great.
Awesome. I get a little jittery with too much caffeine, so
Right?
hopefully I don't get nervous.
Right? For me, it's too many cameras. I was whining about that this morning.
All right, let me line
And see, I love how you did that, Misty. She took the time. If you didn't see what she was doing, she was just lining up her bottom corner as she was sewing along. And the more time you spend keeping everything in a line as it approaches the needle and it goes over the feed, just the smoother it's going to be when you're all done.
Awesome. I learned that from Jenny.
Nice.
You know, just take
Yes.
a few stitches, line it
Yeah,
up.
organize. Oh, gosh. Okay, so I'll press again. And this is that fun little narrow stripe coming in next. So this one, you've got 1/4 inch, so you should have plenty to work with in. But this is, of
right.
all of the narrow pieces, pressure's on. Right?
I know.
And I'm just going to hover over you while you're trying to do it
geez.
just to make it worse.
That's so mean,
I know,
Rob.
terrible.
Okay.
They got all kinds of questions. It's a new set, so they want to know about the iron, and they
Oh.
also want to know about the seam guide.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I'll talk about the iron first because I'll need it here again in a second. This is a cordless Panasonic 360 iron that I absolutely love. It's got a little removable steam vat that I can take over to the reverse osmosis when I'm done. You can hear it steaming right now, so it gets nice and hot. It's got a couple different settings, and it works fabulous. And then, yeah, so I'm using right now the Baby Lock Jane machine. And so that's a straight stitch only machine. And it has an edge guide. And the edge guide has been locked into place on the machine at a 1/4 inch distance out right now.
That's really handy. I really like that.
They make magnetic ones and bolt down ones. And for that machine, I like the bolt down one because you'll see me often, I'll just loosen the screw and spin it out of the way when I'm not using it. Okay, so Misty, we're going to just join this on and then we're going to trim off the edge to the right size.
To make it the right size.
Because I love doing math that way.
I like it too. Easy math.
Yeah, easy math. So, yeah, the edge guide works fantastically. Not all machines have the accessory screw port. So they do, like I said, make a magnetic one. And I've even seen some really nice ones that are just made out of foam or plexiglass. So there's a whole variety of different kinds of edge guides. I started using that. I started at one point with them on the edge of the foot. There was a guide that I'd always put on my 1/4 inch foot.
Okay.
But because of different seams, I will often use this now because I can adjust it then switching out feet.
Yeah, I've never tried it, but I'm really liking it. I might have to get myself one.
I've become a little habitual to it. The other thing I'm going to point out while you just did that is she kept her hand all the way there because she was able to keep the fabric secure and therefore it didn't veer.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times I let go because I'm afraid I'm going to get poked with the needle.
Oh.
So the last 5 stitches or so, now all of a sudden the fabric's moving away and it's not going to work out as well.
Tends to angle a bit.
Exactly.
Fabulous.
Yep.
Look at that.
You did great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Okay, now we need to
We got a question.
question.
Sure.
We got a question about, and it got voted up, so I'm not sure if you know the answer to this, but it's if you iron over polyester, will it melt?
Not our polyester sewing threads because we've been using them for years next to irons, and it's a great question, but they're stabilized, and I don't think the iron's hot enough. I've never melted threads by pressing, and I'm trying to think of in what situation. There are some nylon fabrics and polyester fabrics that they say not to press.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of that with the polyester threads. They're machine-made threads.
Yeah, they're tough.
Yeah.
They're pretty tough.
Yeah, we're using top quality stuff. But gosh, what a great question.
Yeah, that is a great question.
I had to think about that answer for a minute.
I know, that's okay.
Right. Okay, so then the best way to make this the exact size, set it on. And I forgot to tell you, I left your strips long in case they weren't perfect. I didn't want you to know you had a parachute on.
I like it.
You had a parachute on.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Yep. Okay, and so some of the seam allowance took care of that too. So really the easiest way to do this now is I'm just going to lay this on top of it.
And just trim.
Just trim.
Fabulous.
Okay, I'm going to trim here, doing my best not to cut my bosal. I'm looking at both sides there. Trimming here. And then again, I could have actually trimmed all of that at the, well, I could have trimmed the bottom at the end because we're going to put the zipper in now. You ready for that step?
I guess. I'm a little nervous about
You
the
can do
zipper.
it. And you and I practiced. They were not supposed to know that. And I still get nervous myself. So let's make sure I said it right and I know where there's a seam ripper hidden if I need.
Perfect.
Got it. Okay, and let's start with our piece of fabric we just made because I actually love it when my stripes are kind of on the binding side or on the left-hand side.
Okay.
And silly enough, I wasn't paying attention and I put this kind of on the right-hand side. So let's talk about how to make sure we get our stripe where we want it.
Where you want it. Okay.
Yeah, just as an option.
If you have a preference. Perfect.
Exactly. That's
like
what I'm looking for. Okay, so now we said earlier that the rough side is going to be ironed to this when it comes around. So this is my right side, my soft and pretty side.
The felty side is your right side. The iron-on side is going to be the wrong side.
Correct.
All right.
And that's what's going to be inside touching my tablet.
Okay.
Okay, so then my zipper, and I cut my zipper at about 1 inch long so I could slide the head of the zipper down to the end so it's not in our way for sewing.
Okay.
This machine will sew next to the head of the zipper, but I just do that for extra ease anyways. So it is right side up, zipper right side up at the top edge. We're sewing this top seam first.
Okay.
Okay, and then in order to place this correctly here, I want this, when it flips around, it's going to be on the outside. So if I remember correctly, I actually want to put it over here, opposite that one, I think.
But
it's
then
gonna
this
go
should be
right
this
sides
way.
together.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's why we are team sewing today.
Yeah, because
You
this will
saved me again.
because this will loop
Yes.
around, right?
Yes,
Okay.
and then that should be on the binding side.
So it's,
we'll see.
So it should be
Yeah,
right side of the fabric to the right side of the zipper
correct.
to the technically, what are we calling this?
So right side up,
Right-
wrong side up, or
right
right
side-
sides
right
together.
side. So right
And that's the
sides
key when
touching.
you're putting in zippers.
Okay.
But no matter how many times you do it, you always
You
get nervous.
always test yourself. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and then you're just going to make a nice little seam right across the top of that.
All right. Let me make sure I've got this all where it needs
All
to
right,
be.
and just to clarify, they are making a tablet
Yes.
holder.
We're making a
Right?
tablet
Thingy.
cover.
Versus the eyeglasses holder maybe that somebody was asking about earlier or something. But yeah, we're
Okay.
definitely building something you can put a tablet in or a cell phone. Obviously, you know, if you have a little cell phone case or something like that, or you could
One
do
of
it for a
those
laptop,
Giant notes.
right?
The Note 24.
I shouldn't be bragging, but I do have that nice new large, 12-inch iPad. But I also spent a pretty penny on it, and so like I would keep it in its cover before I slide it into a fabric sleeve because it's got one of those like armored covers on it.
I'm sure I'm still lined up.
You're more concerned about the zipper than the fabric because we can always adjust and cheat a little bit.
Okay.
But it looks like you're doing perfectly, actually.
Fabulous.
And if you want, there is a stiletto over there if that helps you.
I don't know. I'm not used to using all those
These fancy tools.
gadgets.
I know, these
Yeah.
gadgets. You did perfect.
There we go.
Rad. Okay, so now what's going to happen before we even bother to press, we're going to bring this around. That's going to work just like that.
Awesome.
Right? And so this will zip, and that'll be the inside of our bag. So at this point, let's go ahead and iron this down so we can top stitch before we put on the other side. What do
Sounds
you think?
good.
Okay.
Yep.
So now, I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
Nope.
Okay. I'm good at that. Now, what I'm doing now, because we had trimmed this to begin with, is I'm actually looking at the bottom corners.
Okay.
Right? So I'm going to line up and I'm going to press this way to control it.
Because now this is going to be fused, right?
This is fused.
Okay.
Yep, and that's an advantage. So that the things don't slip around later
Yeah.
on when we're trying to get all of our seams together. And by the way, you got the stripe on the right side.
Fabulous.
The correct side.
On Rob's favorite side.
Rob's favorite side. Why? Because he's weird. We don't know why.
I was going to say, I think the other one looks wonderful.
Equally as clever.
Yes.
Yes, well, that's because you aren't supposed to know all the crazy things that are going on inside of my head. Okay, and I'm pressing this real good and you can hear the steam
Yeah.
going. That's what it takes to really bond that well. And then we're just gonna let that hang out for a second.
Okay.
And I find it's easiest to top stitch this right now. But in order to top stitch it, we're gonna slide the edge guide out of the way. So
Okay.
let's go ahead and add this side. The fusing's gonna hold us no problem so that we can
Okay.
finish with the edge guide. What do you
And
think?
that sounds good.
Okay, so same exact layout. The soft side, right? So the bumps are down.
Yep.
So my right side here, again, right sides of the zipper up.
Up.
Right?
Okay.
So this is where I get a little bit confused. Sometimes this was that perfect starting edge you had over here.
Okay.
Okay, and then that other piece of fabric, let's make sure I've got the right size, because I have another cut piece.
Perfect.
That's right there, but this is gonna go all the way up, and this would be the right, if it was a print versus a petite.
Right side down.
Right side's down.
Okay.
Exactly. Now you're in here, and I want you to please start, and if you felt more comfortable with pins, of course you could do that, but I'd like you to start at that edge.
All right.
There you go.
Let's do it.
All right, we got a question for Rob.
Oh, a question for Rob.
Do your kids sew?
My kids do sew, as a matter of fact. My son, who is 15, does a little bit of sewing. And then my daughter, who is 13, loves doing sewing. And the first job that we're going to do, because they're on summer break, when I get home, is we've got a giant mountain of fabric scraps to organize because her and her friends are going to spend a bunch of time in the studio this summer sewing with me. So they're going to basically build their stash out of my scraps, and they're going to make some stuff.
Lucky girl.
Yeah, right? Because you know what's in that stash right
That's
now.
right.
Only the finest. So yeah, my kids love sewing. They get in there all the time with me. Although music is the other thing we spend a lot of time doing right now. Oh, you did
awesome.
perfect, Misty.
Okay.
Rock and roll.
Maybe. There we go.
Okay, perfect. Now, this same exact thing, I'm rolling it around over here. Just to confirm you've done it right, I've got that rough of that glue. I'm going to bring these down here. Again, lining that up on that edge. Hot iron to hold it.
Perfect.
Isn't that cool?
It's awesome.
And the
We
top
also got a lot of California shout-outs right
got
now.
a lot of Cali shout outs.
Ah, good.
Wait a second, aren't they? Oh, maybe they're on lunch. No, they're almost ready to go to work is what it is at home. Right there. It's like, aren't you guys supposed to be on the clock? Of course, that's
Hey,
California's on the
We
clock.
won't tell.
That's right. That's right. Oh, we're not supposed to
Say.
make them feel guilty. That's right.
That's right. We're
That's
just
right.
happy they're here, Rob.
That's right. Lord, that means the surf must not be very good at home right now because I'd normally be in the ocean at 9 o'clock at home right now. Okay, and just to point out, we don't have to top stitch. Everything's been finished.
Yeah.
But top stitching around zippers just helps over time.
Yeah.
It looks nice. I forgot to mention, and I did this on my other piece, but I actually had top stitched even right along.
Oh, before you did the zipper.
Correct. And so when I loaded the machine for you with that beautiful turquoise thread, I was thinking we could top stitch. So if you wanted to, we could top stitch even through the bozal, but it's not necessary. So
Okay. We'll just do by the zipper.
Okay, let's just do by
All
the
right.
zipper. Now, so in order to do that, yep, you got it.
We got them, and this just screws
Loosen
off.
that up. You don't even have to take it all the way off. Just go ahead and
twist
rotate
it.
it and then tighten it back down so it's out of your way.
Fabulous.
Yep.
Okay.
And then, have you top stitched before like this near a zipper?
I have, but I could use a refresher.
You got it. Okay,
All right.
so I'm going to ask you to kind of line up the needle as kind of right along here, about 2 thicknesses away from this edge of where the zipper black meets the purple of the batik.
So just right up here at the top.
And the way I do that is I kind of looking at the presser foot. So when I
Okay.
come in over here, I'm basically letting the edge of the presser foot be about 3/4 of the way over on the purple.
Okay.
So I just pick a line. In English, what I'm saying is I pick a line, one, that allows me to work near the zipper head and not be in trouble.
Okay.
And two, that I can just pick a consistent something to look at so that as I sew it, because our top stitching is what really shows. This is what's
Alright.
going to look crisp.
All right, we'll see how I do
Yep.
here. Do you back stitch as well here?
You can, but it's not necessary because that's
Okay.
going to be in a seam.
Okay.
So
Yep.
Sandra from Florida was asking if this is going to be washable.
This would certainly be washable because all of the raw edges will be hidden or moved to the interior. I would probably still spot clean it or dry clean it if it were to get really damaged. And the truth of the matter is, I probably could have made 4 of these in the amount of time it's taken me to explain the
Yeah,
one. So I would just
really
make a new
quick.
one if it got soiled. And I did think about that because when I was using this one, I mean, look at the light color fabrics I chose.
Yeah.
And I wasn't worried at all. Okay, if you'll just do the same that's
thing.
perfect.
Awesome.
Hey, can you sew my samples for me sewing with me too?
Oh, I
You're
wish,
doing great.
I wish I had more sewing time. And so, wait, hold on.
Correct.
This
Yep.
way.
You spun
Okay.
it around. Yep.
All righty.
And then you pick the same mark again and you repeat.
And we
Rinse and repeat.
All right.
Yep.
Well,
And I was talking about how like these cream color fabrics, I wasn't concerned about them because they are so quick and easy to make. I mean, literally. And fabric consumption too. I mean, you can make a ton of these because the bozal foam comes usually packaged.
Right.
And if this was 8.5 inches wide, I could have gotten away with 1/4 of a yard for the 10-inch tablet.
That's
Very
awesome.
easily.
So could you give them a refresher on, because they were asking what size tablet will fit?
Okay, great. So the refresher is that the size I've made, this was what's considered a 10-inch tablet. This was just a little LG brand tablet. And I originally measured 1.5 inches wider and 1.5 inches longer to get my custom size. And that we were also talking, Misty had come up with the idea, well, if it gets thicker, maybe we need to add 2 inches.
Right.
So like a laptop or something, you'd get bigger that way. And so therefore my piece here was basically measuring in at 8.5 inches by 12 inches. And that seems to fit most standard 10-inch tablets with a little bit of a protective cover on.
Yeah, but you can adapt those measurements to your own. Just measure your device and then add 1.5 inches to the width and 1.5 inches to the length, and then it will work with whatever it is you have.
And then your zipper.
And then your zipper you would have to cut accordingly. Good call.
Yep.
Also, there was a question on how they can rewatch this. They missed the beginning.
Oh, if you missed the beginning, as soon as we're done, it will be posted and you can go back and watch it from the top. So it'll be available both on Facebook and YouTube. So no worries there. It'll stay there, so you don't even have to watch it right away. If you have something else to do, you can come back and catch it when it's convenient.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect. Okay, so we have a couple more things to do. We're going to eventually sew side seams, bottom seam in
Okay.
that order.
Okay.
Let's talk about the zipper because zipper management can be frightening for some.
Agreed.
So right now what I want to do is I don't want to move this at all because I want to be able to use this hinge to line this side up.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so what I want you to do now is I want you to start at this bottom corner and sew up to the zipper.
Okay.
And that way when you're up at the zipper, we're going to try to make sure the zipper lays flat at the seam.
Okay.
Okay, and then to make matters worse, we're going to put a new seam allowance in here. So when I put my edge guide back in, don't stop right at 1/4. Just go a little past the 1/4 because we're dealing with the thickness of the bozal. Perfect.
Like there?
Yep.
Okay.
So this is also going to take in a little bit of that seam allowance.
Okay.
Right? So if you had 2/4 inches, we'd be losing 1/2. You've gone to about 3/8. So now you're losing about 3/4 on either side, hence that 1.5 inches.
Right.
So actually, excuse me, my reach. I'm going to scoot you in just a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm actually literally just giving you about the thickness of the needle past the 1/4.
Past the 1/4. Okay.
Yep. Okay, so again, we're going to start by lining up the bottom corners, and you're going to sew from your bottom corner up on the side away from the zipper head.
Okay, do I need to do anything special once I get to the zipper?
I like to backstitch a couple times over that if I
Okay.
can, and I've also broken lots of threads trying that.
Okay, we'll
So
see.
let's see how it goes for you. That's why you're
Sounds-
sewing and I'm wearing safety glasses.
Sounds good. Oh man, maybe I should have got my
So
own.
somebody asked, where can I buy the iron? And then they said, can we use a serger on that?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
Serger
absolutely.
will, the exception, and just the serger at the head of the zipper.
Right.
I want the zipper in there on the, you know what I'm trying to say? So a serger, if you don't know, sorry, a serger cuts as it's wrapping the edge, but you can turn the blade off.
Right.
So I would literally turn the blade down and still use
For that finished
overlocking
overlock
stitch.
stitch,
So
yeah.
because I don't want to be trimming anymore because everything's been cut to the size I need.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Serger people understood that. Folks that don't use sergers every day, that was maybe a little confusing. Sorry about that.
And of course, MSQC sells the iron.
Yeah, the irons, of course, we've got them for sale. But, you know, as a strong rule of thumb, we don't put anything on our sets that we don't really use at home either.
Yeah.
So I used that iron at home for about 6 months. I remember coming in one day and you guys were like, are you going to film with that or not? I'm like, I haven't tested
Yeah,
it
but
enough.
I know.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
You gotta know you like it before you show it.
Absolutely. So they know they can trust us.
I did that one. I
You did great.
backstitched a bunch.
Okay, so now you have captured.
Sorry, I've got to trim these threads. They're
I'll
driving
keep,
me
oh,
crazy.
that's okay. I'm going to keep these fingers
Just a
over
little
here.
OCD.
What? Go ahead, take care of it all. I'm the same way. It's just I couldn't reach and get the scissors.
Oop, that one doesn't want to trim. There we
There
go.
you go.
Close enough.
Okay.
Okay.
Now this trick is we're going to have to come back in right sides. So that zipper head's right where I want you working now.
Okay.
So now I can unzip it. I can zip it in slightly.
Okay.
Now when I did that, I had positioned it earlier. So actually it's all stayed zipped.
Oh.
So you don't have this part hinging, but if you had zipped it the other way, it might have. So I'm just trying to teach as many global tricks in this one project.
Perfect.
Okay, so again, start at the bottom corner up to the
Work your
zipper.
way up and backstitch it along the zipper, right?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Doing great.
Thank you.
And I'm not sure, but Eye of the Tiger, I think, wants you to teach him how to make hot baby clothes or something.
Garment sewing.
I think it was a misspell.
Got it. Misdial.
Okay. Oops.
Okay. Perfect.
There we go.
Awesome. Now, I'm going to go ahead and trim off the rest of that zipper now at the back end of my scissors.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so that's out of the way. You've secured both of those. We want to do this. Now, what we want to do is we want to finish this off.
Okay.
But we need to be able to get out later
Yeah.
on. So now that you've secured both sides, I can zip back and forth all day long.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I have to unzip this way.
We want a close up of the zipper if we can get it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Before I go any further, are you getting what you're after there?
Yeah, let's get in tight. There we go.
All right.
Okay, so the zipper's sealed in there and you backstitch both of those.
Yep.
So the zipper can't come off either edge.
Correct.
So now what I'm doing is I'm putting my hand up in here,
Reaching inside.
reaching inside, grabbing the head of the zipper.
Hold her still. Hold her still.
Hold her still. Easy, caffeine Rob. There we go. So
Yeah.
now later on we can use this as our escape
And
route.
to turn it.
Exactly.
Perfect.
That way you can now go all the way across here without having to leave an inch or two at the bottom.
I love it. Okay. So same sort of thing.
Exactly. Same edge guide, everything.
All right.
Oh, your foot's up.
Oh.
And it's hard to tell because the bozo's so
Oh,
thick.
You're right.
Yeah, I could tell because I could hear the difference.
Okay. Yeah, good catch.
I think we caught it just in the nick of time.
Yeah, we did.
Sounds like there might have been one loose marble almost in there, which would have been that big loop of thread. When the foot is up on a sewing machine, the tension discs are not closed. So what I started to hear was that thread getting wrapped up down inside.
Yeah,
and so my
that's
guess is we have
crazy.
something like a caterpillar or something. Let's see what this first corner looks like. Yep.
A mess.
Well, but we know why.
Yeah.
Because that was that loop of thread that was starting to wrap up. If you would have gotten one or two more stitches,
Right.
we
Let's
would
push
have
that
been
to
digging
the
that out.
center.
We would
Okay,
have had
right
a
there?
mess. Yeah.
Can you see that a little bit better there? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good tip though, because it is so thick with those 2 layers of bosal foam that you really couldn't even tell that the foot wasn't down.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah,
That happens a lot in free motion quilting because of
Yeah.
the nature of the foot too.
awesome.
Okay, now I'm going to trade in and I'm going to get in here because we want nice square corners. So I'm dog earing
Perfect.
with some monster scissors, of course, and no fingers in the way.
There we go.
Okay, and then at this point, basically, I'm just going to reach in here and begin to turn it right sides out.
Fabulous.
And we are all but set with this little project. And you did such a great job sewing this thing.
Thank you. Hopefully it fits the tablet. That's the real test,
That's
right?
right. That's right. Do I have to test in front of everybody?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm sure it will work.
Right? I'm thinking about that seam allowance. I'm thinking about that edge guide. Okay, so we're going to unzip all the way back over there. We're going to take our tablet. We're going to slide it in there.
Oh, it fits like butter.
Like butter. Big
Perfect.
money.
I knew it would be great.
Yep. And then it zips right back closed.
That's
just
so
like that.
fun.
You did
love
awesome.
It. Thank you.
Yeah. And so with this, again, like so we were talking, I like it to be able to get in and out of there fairly easily.
Right.
If they felt like, man, they just wanted a little more secure fit, they could just go in and take a little bit greater seam allowance all the way around because it's already constructed.
Right, exactly.
Super easy that way.
So fun. Well, thank you so much, Rob. This
My
was a
pleasure.
great project.
My
Thanks
pleasure.
for bringing it for us.
Certainly.
So do we have any other questions
Perfect.
that
I
have come
think
through?
everything's going good.
Okay. Great.
Cool.
Well, awesome. We appreciate you guys for being here. We hope you enjoyed this fun tablet or laptop cover project. And thank you, Rob.
My pleasure.
For joining in the fun.
Somebody also said it'd be fun to use a bright colored zipper to contrast.
Yes,
the
a bright
What a
colored
great
zipper
idea.
would be
There are
awesome.
all kinds of cool zipper colors out there.
Absolutely. I love
Yeah.
that idea.
I do love that idea as well.
Very cool. Well,
Fantastic.
thank you guys. We will see you next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Have a fabulous week, and we'll see you